Hi, it's a Working Whiskey Woman, and I thought I'd bring you something a little bit special today. So we went down to Kentucky because I was extremely fortunate to, as a member of 500 Maine, to do a pre-order, pre-purchase of the Founders Day release of Angel's Envy. This is one that was actually aged in Mizunara oak. And Mizunara oak is a really interesting oak. Mizunara, I guess you'd say in American. Mizunara oak is one that is used extensively in Japan for their whiskeys. And it started after World War II because they weren't able to get whiskeys, so they were distilling their own, but they didn't have any barrels. They couldn't get them from America, they couldn't get them from England or Scotland. So they decided they were going to try and figure out their own way of making their own barrels. So the Mizunara tree, in order to really have a good tree for harvest to make a barrel, needs to be about 200 years old, and it's kind of gnarly, and it isn't nice and straight. It isn't quite like the French oak or the American oak. In fact, unlike the French oak, where French oak is really kind of tight and the American oak is a little bit looser, the Mizunara oak is much looser and it contains a lot more water. So what that does is it makes it really difficult to make a barrel and to try and keep it from leaking, because you got to cut around the knots and things like that, and then you have to make sure that it doesn't leak all over because of the wood moving, because it's extremely porous. But the cool thing about it is that you get a lot more flavor from the wood because that alcohol is just going in and breathing in and out, so you get quite a bit. Now what the Japanese found is that when they aged this for just a few years, it was kind of a little bit off-putting because it was really, really strong, intense flavor of the oak. Well, what they found is that if they aged it longer, up to decades, they found that it was really actually quite pleasant, and you got these really beautiful flavors out of it. So I believe Wes Henderson was the one who worked with the Japanese, and he worked with probably with Suntory, and so he was able to secure some barrels of this Mizunara oak. And what he did is he took a 4-year and a 9-year bourbon and blended it, and then he finished it for 2 years in these Mizunara oak barrels. Now remember, it's a whiskey now because it's a finished bourbon, but I like to say finished bourbon. It's a little bit nicer. So anyway, that being said, it's kind of like opening up a little present. You can see that this is actually leather. It's a nice leather case. It's really kind of cool. And the decanter actually has a glass stopper. And if you look, and somebody can zoom in for me, you can see, maybe not, you can see it basically says Angel's Envy with Henderson right there. So you can actually have, this is a lovely decanter. I'm gonna pull the bottle out because it's really cool. And you can see the angel's wings that are literally, not just etched this time, but actually in the glass, formed into the glass. And I was really fortunate because my husband and I actually went down to Kentucky. We bought it on the 19th. I was very lucky because I actually bought probably one of the last ones. It sold out pre-sale in 7 minutes. So I got mine, and 5 minutes later, when my husband went to check out, they were all sold out. So we were really fortunate to at least get one. They do go on sale to the public on September 1st, so I expect long lines down there. And there'll probably be some retailers, I think, that they said will be able to get this. But I feel really lucky because we went down, we had a great weekend, lovely little romantic thing. As we're waiting in line, chatting with the other folks that were 500 Maine, and just talking about our favorite subject, bourbon. So Kyle, the grandson of Lincoln, was down there, and he signed my bottle. He was talking about this. And he also indicated that a Goldie cigar, and I'm not sure for all you cigar smokers what that is, but he said a Goldie cigar actually goes extremely well with this, and he was actually smoking that as we were waiting in line. And the nice thing about this is that it comes with this little Founders collection. So they did a 10-year Founders release, and basically explaining that this bourbon was crafted using one of the 5 Mizunara oak casks that we were able to secure for our Founders Day 10-year anniversary celebration, and it is one of the rarest whiskeys we've ever released. On behalf of our family, thank you for your purchase of this remarkable release, and we genuinely hope you enjoy it. With gratitude, the Henderson family, and Kyle signed it, so it was really, really cool. And it gives you a little book on it, a little tasting note, a little bit about the decanter, a little bit about the history, so that's really, really neat. Now, full confession, not gonna lie, I had opened this and was trying it, but something happened with the video. So I'm gonna tell you my notes as I tried this, because I honestly expected that I would not like this, especially as a woman, because you would get a lot more of those oak flavors, maybe a little bit more cigar flavors, and with a, you know, probably a little bit more on the palate. I'd be a little bit worried it wouldn't give me a little more of that sweetness that I would kind of like on it. And maybe it would, you know, be a little more off-putting. Maybe it would taste like I'm smoking a cigar, something like that. And so what I found is not that. So as you can see, the color is beautiful. Just a beautiful color, and you can see just the nice streaks. It doesn't just stick, it just nice and smoothly rolls down. So it's got some really beautiful legs, some really, really nice oils and solids. So, oh wow, and see, this has changed again on me. So as I take another smell, it definitely has banana, but now I'm almost getting a sense of pumpkin. A little bit of pumpkin, nutmeg, allspice kind of going on with what's going on in there, with some molasses elements to it. And if I added in a little bit of pecan, might be a little too, yeah, a little pecan in there. So if I had like a nice pecan pumpkin bread, something with a lot of flavor like that. Now on the taste, getting a lot more tea. I'm getting kind of that bergamot, orange, like basically black tea. Definitely makes me think of an Earl Grey, maybe a little bit on the Lady Grey with a smidge of oolong right at the end. And definitely the end is kind of hugging you a little bit. It's actually hugging, the pepper note isn't really like a harsh Teletary pepper. It's almost like an arugula note where it just has that slight smidge of pepperness, and I wouldn't say bitterness, but just a little bit of that bitter that's just really kind of pleasing, and it just kind of hugs there, and it just really, really stays really wonderfully. So let's take a look. If we add a little water to it. And now it's interesting because now here is coming out the bamboo. So I'm getting a lot more bamboo, bok choy, a little bit of Napa cabbage, definitely hints of, just definitely huge hints of bamboo. I think of almost like a stir fry, which isn't a bad thing. If I had a really nice rich soy in there, that would be great. Like almost like an aged soy. And on the taste, that kind of comes through. I'm almost getting a little bit of that kind of like if I took a really nice, beautifully aged soy with a mirin, a nice little sweet rice vinegar in there, it just gives me that nice little flavor kind of going on, a little bit more of that action, and then it's kind of finishing off hazelnut, which for me, this really says a lot, because again, you want your whiskeys to kind of change as you drink them. That's the fun part about drinking whiskey versus any other beverage. It always changes. It always gives you something different. There's always a cool surprise. So Henderson's, I think you did an awesome job. I am very pleased. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I can definitely see how you can smoke a cigar with this and it's not too sweet. And I can definitely see how you can enjoy this just with a little bit of large ice, you know, like some big ice poured over, and just kind of sip away, and it just gives you a little bit of that sweetness. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. So with that, cheers and good luck trying to get one.